Welcome to another edition of eYe Education. I'm your host, Ed Leicius, and it's my turn today. Not me, but the program My Turn. And joining us is the Executive Director, Allison Joseph, and a youth development professional, Jocelyn Mahoney. Welcome to eYe Education.
Thank you.
So what is My Turn?
So My Turn broadly is an anti-poverty organization, and we work to provide high-quality academic and employment opportunities to people that have hit some type of barrier in their life. And we have about 20 programs across New Hampshire and Massachusetts. We serve about 1,000 people a year. Most of our programs are targeted at transitional age youth, so 14 to 24 years of age. We work with them in high schools and in the community, and we have a few programs that serve older folks and a few programs that serve younger folks, but that's sort of our core age range there. And in Nashua, we have programs at Nashua High School North and South, working to prepare young people for obviously graduating from high school, but then also developing a plan that they can enact when they get out of the classroom. And we provide support services to them as they transition out into adulthood. And then we also have community-based programs where we train a little bit older youth for careers in a broad range of sectors, healthcare, manufacturing, construction, things like that.
Now, you've been around for a while, and some people might say never heard of them.
Yeah.
How did they come to be?
So My Turn actually started in 1984 in Brockton, Massachusetts, and our founders owned a property management company, and they were looking to bring on some Brockton High School graduates that weren't planning to go to college, give them a career pathway, train them in a field that didn't require a post-secondary degree. And when they called the high school to see if they could identify a couple kids that might be good for the job, the school said, well, we don't track those kids, we only track the college-bound students. And so they saw an opportunity to go in and provide some school-to-career programming.
And how did you get involved?
I got involved in My Turn. The kids always laugh at me when I tell them this because I answered an ad in the newspaper. I answered a classified ad, and they're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? Why were you looking in the newspaper? How did you get a job there?"
Well, they could have said, "What's a newspaper?"
Yeah, so I probably have heard that. It was a very vague ad. It said something like, "Do you want to help kids? Are you passionate about young people?" or something like that. And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." And I interviewed at Nashua High School South. They had a position open, but when I got in there, they told me there was also a position at Manchester High School Central. And so I started my career in 2007 as a in-school career specialist.
You grew up in Manchester?
I grew up in Manchester, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Jocelyn? How did you get involved with My Turn?
So I didn't find the ad in the newspaper, but I found it online. I was working for another youth serving agency and looking for a change, and I found the ad for a position also at Manchester Central, and that was in 2013. And I spent some time in the high school with the students there, and then I moved on to overseeing our in-school programs agency-wide, and then now I work doing some development work with Allie in the main office.
And what was your background?
I grew up working with young people, so I started when I was 13 working at summer camp. I worked in residential. I've spent my whole career working with youth in the community.
What's the biggest challenge you face today in working with today's youth?
I think understanding all of the challenges that are before them. It's not like before where everyone lives at home with their parents and everything is going smoothly. A lot of the young people that we see have to work to survive. They can't just be in school enjoying all of the sports and the other activities that most young people have the opportunity to do. And I think trying to help them navigate what life looks like for them when they have so many responsibilities is difficult.
And it's bad enough that they face those challenges, but people who've been following things in the newspaper, yes, there's still newspapers, in Manchester with the budget. They're talking about charging for athletics,
Yeah.
charging kids
Busing.
to ride the bus to
Yeah.
school. That's another challenge on top of the things that Jocelyn talked about.
Right.
Where do you fit into that picture, and how can you help, Allison?
Yeah, so My Turn provides, I think, some of our most critical services are what we would call supportive services, and those are essentially dollars that we use to remove barriers that young people are facing. So if our students were impacted by these decisions, if they do roll forward as policies, those are certainly fees that we could cover. Other things, assisting with back to school clothes. We do a huge back to school event in Manchester every year. Last year we got 350.
Yeah,
backpacks. It's a student-led event, so we have some interns that work with us. They identified the need in the community to provide more support to people going back to school, and so all of those things are we want our students not just to have good academic and employment outcomes, but we want them to have full, vibrant lives. So things like being able to access sports, extracurricular activities, those are things that we support as well for them.
What do you do here in Nashua? What are the programs that you offer here in Nashua?
You want to talk about the
Jocelyn?
in-school?
Yeah, sure. So at Nashua North and South High School, we offer in-school programs. We have one staff that goes between the two schools, and he works with our students to ensure that they're completing their schoolwork on time, getting to classes, being where they need to be so they can move ahead. But more than that, in the classroom, he's building relationships. He's helping them develop work readiness skills, so they're doing resumes and cover letters, career projects, a lot of career exploration. They're learning interview skills. He's helping them apply to college if they want to go to college. He's helping them with their FAFSAs. He's helping them identify potential career paths if they're not college ready, and just really helping our young people at both Nashua North and South kind of figure out what comes next for them and where it's best for them to move forward positively.
And do you work out of the guidance office, or?
Nope, they work out of classrooms. So students will come to him just like they would go to another class. They're scheduled in, oftentimes he will meet with them other places if they need extra help outside of classroom hours.
Obviously, it takes money
Yes,
to run this program.
it does.
Where does your funding come from?
So our 3 programs in Nashua are funded by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. It's a Department of Labor money. It's in New Hampshire. It's overseen by the Office of Workforce Opportunity. So we get our funding from them, and then we roll out these programs in collaboration with the school districts and the communities in which we work.
Do you look for private sector support? And if so, anyone watching us here today, how can they be of help?
Yeah, for sure. So the federal grant, while we love it, obviously it's our bread and butter, but it is restrictive in the things that we can spend it on. For example, we can't buy food with the grant, and food insecurity is a big issue for a lot of our students. So we're always looking for foundations, individual donors to assist us in making sure that the people that we're serving have their needs met. And I'll throw it over to Jocelyn too, because we have an exciting event coming up that people can be a part of.
Is that the May 8th event?
It sure is. So on Thursday, May 8th at the Manchester Country Club in Bedford, New Hampshire, we're hosting our 9th annual Bright Futures event, which is our largest fundraiser of the year. And the dollars raised at that event are critical because those are we call it the magic money. It's the money that we use to remove barriers. So to help young people if they need food, to help them, like Allie mentioned, play sports or get equipment that they might need. We've helped with rent, with child care assistance, transportation, any of those things. The money that we raise there is critical to ensuring that our students are on a level playing field and have all the same opportunities as their peers.
About how many students are you assisting in the Nashua area now? Do you have an idea?
In Nashua right now, probably around 100 to 150 any given time of the year. As I mentioned, when students graduate from high school, our support doesn't stop.
Right.
We provide at least a year of formal follow-up support and then indefinite follow-up support beyond that. And same with our community-based programs. So we get them community-based programs. We're working to help them obtain a post-secondary credential, typically some type of a shorter-term credential that still allows them to get in and earn a livable wage at a company. But then once they're sort of stabilized, they've obtained a credential, they're employed, things are looking up, we continue to provide that support just to make sure that, over the first year of their employment, those things that pop up that can sometimes derail somebody, maybe a transmission blows or they have to move or, those sort of unanticipated roadblocks, that we're there to help remove those and make sure that they can keep moving forward.
And you help, I see, students get into GE equivalent programs?
Yes.
So if they're not in school, you can still help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we run most of our HiSET and GED programs are in Manchester, New Hampshire. We have graduated, I want to say probably like 20 or so Nashua students through that program. We have always had a really great relationship with Nashua. This is one of the first programs that we opened in New Hampshire was in Nashua. And so we have very good relationships with the schools and the counselors, and they had identified some youth most of our high-step programming that targets high school students came out of COVID, the need for alternatives for young people that weren't able to obtain their credits over that period of time for a variety of different reasons. And we really wanted to make sure that before they truly disconnected from school, that we gave them an alternative pathway to complete. And so we launched those programs, and we did extend the opportunity for Nashua students that could make it to us to engage in those programs. And we've had quite a few graduates from Nashua as well.
What were some of the other challenges you faced during COVID? I know another program that we did with the head of the school nurses in Nashua talked about the challenges they had during COVID.
Yeah.
But with schools functioning hybrid,
Yeah.
or completely away from the classroom,
Yeah.
what challenges did that present for you?
So the week that the world shut down, we turned our office basically into a grocery store. So we had everything that anybody could need. We even had toilet paper back then, which was,
was a
the
hot
hottest
commodity.
item.
That's right, it was.
But yeah, we had all supplies for babies. We had canned goods. Our community really rallied around us for that. So people were sending us stuff from all over the United States. And so we were taking orders from our students, and whatever they needed, we would put together a bundle and we would bring it out to their houses. We were delivering the laptops to students. We did a lot of virtual instruction, obviously. We were, our social media, thankfully, we all have social media pages connected to our My Turn programs and staff. And because we already had that network, we were really able to leverage that to get information out to students, to provide services throughout COVID, to the best of our ability. I think, obviously, we saw a ton of people displaced from their jobs. A lot of people changed career pathways, which was, that we try to leverage our funds with our out-of-school youth programs to help people kind of pivot quickly.
Right.
We are lucky because the sectors that we serve most highly are healthcare and manufacturing, and those sectors didn't really slow down. I mean, obviously, healthcare, cranked up. And manufacturing kept pace. So a lot of the people we were serving that might have been in retail or service industries, we were able to help them get into jobs and careers that were open and still paying wages.
Jocelyn,
can you tell us a little about the violence prevention initiative that you guys do?
Sure. So Allie does work a lot primarily on that, but really there was a need in our community, especially in the Manchester area. We had seen a big increase in violent crimes, and some of our young people were starting to be victims or in these crimes. And so we noticed that nothing was really happening to try to help young people that had either been associated or maybe just even loosely connected with some of this. And so we began working to target some individuals that were highly involved and have them come into the office and start to help them develop career paths that could help them move forward and away from the life that they were living, and give them opportunities to see that there's success and that they're capable of so much more, and to have those opportunities to succeed. And so that's actually been really successful for us, and we have some young people that are serving as interns right now that we met through that program that are helping lead a lot of our community initiatives and events. So that's been a really neat opportunity to see how they're able to give back now, and to be able to encourage the younger kids that might be heading down the wrong path to make some different choices, so that way they can have a better outcome.
Certainly very important today.
Yeah.
No question. Given the weather lately, we don't know if we'll have spring, but hopefully we'll have summer.
We're hoping.
And you have a summer camp program.
So we run some summer programming. It's not exactly a camp, but we do for our in-school students. They all go to work in the community, so they're oftentimes earning their first paycheck with us. So we place them at various nonprofits, for-profits. We also run a program called NIFTY. It's the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. So students come to us and they develop a business plan, and that's their summer job. It's a very, very cool program. We've both gone through the teaching program. And so these kids are earning money over the summer. They're connected with us. They're coming to class, and they earn elective credit for that. And then we have a youth center where we provide programming, maybe kind of similar to a summer camp. Okay. And then we also run a 3-on-3, an outdoor 3-on-3 league in Manchester to keep young people engaged and connected to positive adults over the course of the summer. That's an offshoot of our violence prevention work, and that's also run by our interns and our students.
Is there a threshold, a financial threshold for someone to qualify for this program, or how are people brought into the program?
Yeah, so our federally funded programs, our in-school students all meet some type of a low-income requirement. It could be free and reduced lunch, household that receives some type of either cash or SNAP benefits, students that are identified as homeless through the McKinney-Vento Act, and then oftentimes they have other barriers. And then our community-based programs, typically our students are low income as well, but they may be able to qualify by being involved in the court system, having children of their own, through some other barrier. And then we have a number of programs right now too that have less restrictive guidelines. And so typically in those programs where we get private funding or some state funding, we really will serve anybody who's in need of assistance as self-reported.
So you get court referrals?
We do. We get a lot of court referrals. Another offshoot of the violence prevention work is that My Turn case manages young adult court, which is a sort of a pilot program out of Hillsborough County North. And we work with young people who have some type of a serious offense, a felony offense, under the age of 25, and we provide them with programming. And so in lieu of going to jail or as part of an agreement for a shorter jail sentence, they'll come to us and they'll obtain their, diploma, they'll get jobs, and they check in with the court regularly to ensure that they're on track for success.
That's great. What is the Bright Futures program all about?
So Bright Futures is the event that Jocelyn was just talking about, where we work to bring in community partners, raise money for our programs, and my favorite part about it is that we highlight our student success and our partner success. So this year we have Abdi Wahab Kalumba, who is a member of Young Adult Court, a graduate of Young Adult Court, extremely successful, is our participant of the year. He's working as an electrician right now. We have Chad Lemon from Manchester, who is our alumni of the year, another exceptional young person. And we're recognizing the Advanced Regenerative Manufacturing Institute as our employer of the year. We have a young lady from Nashua who's actually working there. She was one of the first biofabrication apprentices that they brought through there. So now she's a biofabrication technician at Army, and we're recognizing the Public Defender's Office as our community partner of the year.
That's great. And tickets are available by, how does one get a ticket?
Yes, if they go to our website, it's www.my-turn.org. There's a link on our landing page to purchase tickets.
Well, Allison, Joseph, and Jocelyn, thank you so much for being with us here today. Hope we shed some light on your program, which I'll be honest, I never heard of My Turn until we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago of our committee, and it was brought up.
Yeah.
And I said, that sounds interesting. And
Well, we're happy to talk to you.
Thanks for having us.
Spread the word.
We find out what a small world it is. You have a Nashua connection.
Yes, I do.
Your grandfather, the late George Butch Joseph,
Yep.
was a fixture in Nashua, at Nashua High School. In fact,
Yes.
he was my guidance counselor
Small
a
world.
long time ago.
I love that. Yeah.
And a great guy.
Thank you.
Great family.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's very proud of what you're doing,
Thank you.
as is your family. And we want to thank you both for being here with us today.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You've been watching EYe on Education. I'm your host, Ed Leicius, and we'll see you next time.